Hey there, my friends. It's Brad, the Bearded Piper, and I hope you all are having a great day. I almost didn't get this video in today. It's just been busy, busy, busy. I got a late phone call today, had training modules to do, had grass to cut, didn't eat dinner until like almost 9 o'clock, and finally, after my wife and I took care of the dogs and I tucked her in for the night. It's about 20 after 11, 11:30ish on Friday, the September 15th Smoke Rings Around the World Day. And I'm finally out here enjoying a wonderful, wonderful Northern Briars filled with one of my absolute favorite Englishes, and that is Hearth and Home White Nights. And this is courtesy of Paul from Pipes of Old. And so I'm in Columbus, and he gave me a nice sandwich bag, pretty much a whole tin. I think he had a bowl or two out of it, and he's like, I just don't like this. Stuff's great. Love it. So, if you're not familiar with smoke rings around the world, let me give you the history. So, I first came about it 2 years ago, or last year. It might have been last year. Ed, over at Armchair Piper, he and Dr. Bo every year promote Smoke Rings Around the World, which is on September 15th. And it all got started. So if you're not familiar with Ed, Ed was in the Navy during the Vietnam War. And, he was a pipe smoker. And when he was on the ships, he obviously, when the smoking lamp was lit, he was out there enjoying his pipe. So, if you ever watch any of Armchair Piper's videos, you'll notice he's always blowing smoke rings because it's been something that he's fancied. I don't know why I said fancied, but it's been something that he and Dr. Bo, one of his best buddies, do all the time. They just really, really enjoy blowing smoke rings. So Ed started blowing smoke rings while he was on the Navy ship, and all his buddies thought it was great, and he taught them how to do it and things like that. But of course, it was during the war, and he was on the other side of the world, right? But that's not where it started. It's part of it, but it's not where it started. So then Ed came home, and he started working in retail, and he was working with kind of like the cash register systems. And the company that he was working for, they would send him all over the place to take care of the cash register systems and to make sure I think they call them point of sales, POS, but that also means something different, a piece of blank. But they would send Ed to take care of all the software issues, train people, get them up and running on all of the new updates and the new systems they had. So he was everywhere. He would travel here, he would travel there, and he would travel everywhere. And of course, he always took his pipes. And if you watch Armchair Piper's videos, you know that Ed and his trusted companion, Dr. Bo, like to blow smoke rings. So a couple years ago, Ed, he's retired, he met up with one of his friends that he used to work with. And they were talking, and his friend said to him, hey, Ed, the thing that I remember most from when we would go out and about and do our travels together was you always had your pipe and you blew smoke rings everywhere. And I always thought that was the coolest thing in the world is here's my buddy Ed and his friend Dr. Bo, and they're blowing smoke rings. That's something that you only see in the Lord of the Rings movie, or on TV, or you hear about it, but you never see anyone do it. But I was lucky enough to see that you do that. That was really, really cool. And Ed said, well, I was in the Navy. It was halfway around the world. I blew smoke rings over there. And I blew smoke rings all across of our country. So I guess, You can kind of say I've blown smoke rings all around the world. And his buddy said to him, you know, Ed, that should be a holiday. Smoke rings around the world. And Ed said, you know what? I think you're right. So let's make it today. Today is going to be the first holiday of smoke rings around the world. And it just so happened that I think it was 3 years ago, I could be wrong on the dates, but it just so happened that it was September 15th that Ed and his old buddy that he used to work with sat down for lunch, had a discussion, and came up with the idea of smoke rings around the world. So there you have it. That is the story of how smoke rings around the world got started, that I completely made up. None of that is factual, except for the fact that Ed was in the Navy. He did serve during the Vietnam War. I believe he is the one who started smoke rings around the world. No idea why it's on September 15th. And I think, if I remember from one of his past videos, when he was talking about Thanksgiving or holidays, he talked about missing a lot of holidays when he was in his younger days because he worked for a retail establishment and he took care of their cash register system, and he had to be there in case there was a problem on Black Friday and the day after Christmas when people were returning things, and he was a very important part of that process. So those parts are factual. How Ed came up with smoke rings around the world, I don't know. But I will tell you this, Ed. Every year I look forward to it. Every day I practice. And I'm still not getting any better. There's a few. So with that, my friends, remember, life is good, but it is better with a pipe.